Today, we are happy to have you here. We're going to be going through a couple different topics. First and foremost, we have a wonderful partner here, Kirkpatrick Price, who's going to be tag teaming this with me. And we plan on going through how Fargate helps empower small teams and how Datadog helps to enhance all of that. So our agenda for today, we are going to start with an overview of Kirkpatrick Price, what they do, how they went through their cloud adoption story, and then we are going to talk a little bit about AWS Fargate and some of its advantages architecture-wise, as well as how it helps teams work more efficiently. We're then going to talk a little bit about Datadog, which is why I'm here, and our different security products, as well as a quick overview of our observability story. And then, of course, shouldn't be a surprise, we will go into how they work together, where Kirkpatrick Price ended up going after going through their journey, and then we'll wrap it up with some key takeaways and some lesson learned. So, quick intro, my name's Amber Binway. I'm a product manager at Datadog. I focus on our cloud security products and suite. I also work a lot with AWS on our partnerships and joint integrations. I've been there for about 2.5 years. I'm from Boston. Unfortunately, I am a Celtics fan, so I apologize for that in advance. But yeah, without any further ado, I'm going to invite Michael up. He's going to do an intro and jump right in.
Thank you very much, Amber. Well, thank you everybody for coming out and listening to us for a little bit. I'm Michael Wise. I'm the principal cloud security architect at Kirkpatrick Price. And really, I wanted to take a second to talk about what Kirkpatrick Price does. We're a licensed CPA firm, and we really help our clients meet their challenging compliance goals. Our founder really had an idea of going out to clients and saying, we understand that audits are hard, but we're here to help you meet your challenging compliance requirements. And so how do we do that? We want to make sure that whenever you go through an audit, that it's worth it for you as an organization. We provide quality testing, so the consumers of the reports that you provide out. So whenever you're talking to your compliance departments or you're looking at various reports, that quality testing provides that reasonable assurance that everyone is looking for to make sure that they have the appropriate security controls implemented. Then we decided, hey, we need a platform that allows these efficient audits to happen, that really supports the auditing process. And so we built an application called the Online Audit Manager. And this has been really one of the mainstays of what we do at Kirkpatrick Price, making sure that we bring technology along with experienced auditors into conjunction so that we can provide the best service to our clients. So when we're doing this, we're really providing that partnership level that clients are looking for during the audit and compliance process. We make sure that the industry standards are being applied through operational controls. We look at many different systems, and we do collection through our Online Audit Manager. Now, kind of getting to like the key pieces. As a licensed CPA firm, also as a PCI QSA and a high-trust CSF assessor firm, we most commonly deal with things like SOC 1, SOC 2, HIPAA, high-trust, PCI DSS, GDPR, ISO 27001, and a whole host of other audit frameworks. But no matter what framework you guys are looking to do or any organization is looking to do, we as an organization can help you meet your compliance goals. So as we go out, we had to make sure that we provide the tools and the abilities for our clients to be able to collect the data, get it to the auditors, for the auditors to be able to review the data, and to be able to provide the audit reports that our clients desperately needed. So how do we do that? Let's talk about how we do that. And that's through our Online Audit Manager. The Online Audit Manager provides that centralized place where auditors, clients, data all interact and intersect. This interactive compliance tool provides live connections with security experts. It integrates educational videos and resources. So not only while you're doing the audit are you actually collecting all the evidence and answering questions and things like that, but you're also learning as you go along. It integrates with 50+ frameworks, and we can also implement custom frameworks as the client needs. It eases the use of tools and makes sure that innovation is appropriate so that we can ingest many types of data into the Online Audit Manager to assist in the execution of the audit. It integrates with automated evidence gathering. So with services like AWS, we can collect evidence about AWS implementation of controls. And it's built by a licensed CPA firm. So by kind of building all of these blocks together, we provide a place that all of the organizations that need that compliant services can go in, do their audits, and get that report that they need. But this did not just pop up out of nowhere. We had a long journey, like most organizations. We started off with the single server closet. I like to call it the scare zone. We all have kind of worked there at some point where you start off with that single server in a closet, has lots of cables going all over the place, and we kind of migrated on. So as we grew, we had some exponential growth. We decided, yeah, we can't just have a single server in a closet back in 2006. We need to go and progress and become a better organization. So we moved to a small stack colocation. So that small stack colocation lasted us for a while. We were able to do what most organizations do when going from a single server to a small stack colocation. We were able to serve more clients. But then we really got to where the rubber meets the road and what we're talking about today. We decided to make the jump from just being a co-location company and working with co-locations and working with providers there to provide our services to other organizations and to have our compute resources in co-location to using cloud services. We really looked for the best-in-class provider. Our CTO really gave us the marching orders of we need to figure out what we're going to do for the cloud migration. We don't want to do this multiple times. We don't want to do this in multiple ways. We want to be the best that we could possibly be from the beginning. So we spent a lot of time researching a lot of different cloud providers, and then we settled on AWS. We really loved the way that we had the abundant documentation. We loved the services that they were providing, and it really had a synergistic quality with what we were trying to do in providing the services for our clients. Then, moving to 2024, we had even more exponential growth. As we served more and more clients, we really had to figure out a way to manage all this with a small team. So we went from a single AWS account in 2017 to over 25 AWS accounts under management in 2024. So with a small team, that's a very large increase in terms of management responsibilities. So with this exponential growth that we were seeing, we ran into a lot of problems. Our CTO challenged us and said, hey, I want a rock-solid compute platform that lessens the burden for our team's management, that also aligns with our availability and security requirements, all while doing this without increasing headcounts. I stopped. I smiled at him and said, oh, is that all you want? I don't think he actually got the joke. But as the number of accounts and services we had to manage grew, we had an exponential increase in the management requirements, and we knew this as a team. So we had to step back and look at what we were doing. Our footprint continued to grow, and our team size was not going to increase. So what did we decide to do? In 2020, we decided to start the migration to containers. We really love the idea of having that containerized solution that would allow us to really encapsulate what we were doing at the application level. And then we could leverage orchestration tools to take over some of the overhead operational burdens. We came up with the following requirements. One, the platform had to work with Terraform. Two, it had to lessen the burden of managing the underlying infrastructure. And three, simplicity was a key so that the team could focus on building and deploying new services. Now, as an organization, we had to make sure that we picked the right tool. So what did we pick? We picked Amazon Fargate. So why did we pick Amazon Fargate? It reduced operational workload at the cluster level. So this is a really important point. It integrates well with Terraform. It allowed for a simplified capacity management. It allowed for greater focus to be applied from just managing our application. It had a simplification of our deployment pipeline. And we had a native integration with AWS. So as you can see, we kind of packaged all the pieces that we needed and all the requirements that we needed into this one kind of idea of what we were going to do. So we decided that Amazon Fargate was the way to go. But let's talk about the stack a little bit more. So as you can see, we have AWS Fargate providing those compute resources. We also have AWS Lambda. We have Amazon ECS. We have Amazon SQS and Amazon S3. So those core services really provide the bedrock for what we're trying to do at Kirkpatrick Price. Now, all this is orchestrated via Terraform and Terraform Cloud. One of our key things and one of the most important things that happens at Kirkpatrick Price is that we do everything as infrastructure as code. We really took the time to stop and look at what we were doing and say, how are we going to make sure we can do this as fast as possible with the most efficient way as possible while maintaining our security and availability requirements? So we decided, hey, we need a way to do this, and we're going to use Terraform. So any tools that we use are going to have to integrate with Terraform. On top of this, we have Ruby and Go providing primary development languages. So the front end and the back end written in Ruby and Go, whereas AWS Fargate, AWS Lambda providing those compute resources, Amazon SQS and Amazon S3 providing both data store and messaging, with Terraform kind of orchestrating the whole pie. Now, why is Amazon Fargate able to help us reduce our operational load as a small team? And this is kind of one of the key points I want to hone in on. We've all seen these shared responsibility matrices, but I want to kind of point out a couple pieces when we're talking about this. As we know, when we're talking about ECS Fargate, we're talking about a containerized solution that's running on clusters. And in a traditional cluster environment, let's say an ECS environment or a Docker environment, you're going to have to manage the underlying nodes that are doing the cluster orchestration. But when you move to ECS Fargate, AWS had the great foresight to say, hey, we want to reduce some of the burden that you have, and we're going to take over some of the requirements at the worker node configuration level. So things like managing the patching of the worker node are taken away. Things like worrying about scaling and availability of the worker nodes are taken away, because that all gets managed by ECS Fargate. And for a small team, when you're talking, everyone has to be as efficient as possible. We have to be able to focus as much as possible. We have to be able to do what we need to do as an organization that's providing services to our clients. Anything that we can move off our plate and be able to focus on the application and the containers and the tasks is going to be a great benefit to us. So really, every time we look at Amazon ECS Fargate, this is a big win for us. So when we saw this shared responsibility model, we saw where the line was moving and how it helped us as an organization to shift some of the burden in a different direction so we could really focus on networking, the data security, the task level, container level, and the application level. This was a no-brainer, and it was a win-win for us on all sides. Now, that does not solve all the problems. Really, now that we were able to focus on the task and the container level, we needed a partner that could really help us understand what was going on from a security and both an operational performance level with our application. We no longer could just say, oh, hey, we're going to just see what's going on the node level and monitor that. We now had to really focus on what was going on in the application. How were the containers doing? Where were the security signals coming from? So we had some really finite requirements that had to happen. We needed a centralized location to run correlations. So this is key for us as a small team, because with a centralized location, we want whoever is working on that situation at any one point in time to be able to look at one single pane of glass and understand at a broad level what was going on, be it security, be it application performance, be it availability, whatever the case may be. We had to understand the ability to understand application performance along with security. Now, as we know, you can't really completely separate application performance from security because they really do go hand in hand. If you're going to be having an application problem, it could be an indicator of a security problem, or vice versa. So we really needed the ability to see both in one place. we needed a process to apply a defined set of security monitoring rules. One of the things that was critical for us is we wanted to use industry best standards like CIS benchmarks, PCI standards, things like that, to make sure that we were applying the correct monitoring rules to be able to appropriately understand what was going on from a security level. We also wanted to understand what was happening at the cloud infrastructure level and the Amazon ECS container level. So no matter what, be it at the overall cloud level or at the container level, we need to be able to see from one location what was going on. We wanted to be able to see the correlations from cradle to grave as to where the security signals were coming from, where the application performance issues were coming from, and be able to understand that in one place. And then finally, because with a small team, we need to have really solid alerting. It had to be a simple way that we could create alerts and understand what was happening so the appropriate person could be paged and we could get a really clear understanding of where the problem was coming from. But we still haven't reached our final solution. So we had to figure out how to do all this. But how did we do all this? So I'm going to turn it over to Amber, and she's going to talk a little bit about Datadog security.
Thank you, Mike. Cool. So back up here again. Before we dive into Datadog security, I wanted to take us through a history lesson of what Datadog is, what types of challenges we solve for, what types of customers we work with. And I wanted to call out, Datadog's been around for a little over 10 years. Product started out as a product that was trying to solve complexity challenges for developers, operations people. As we got into shift left, the DevOps people, and then DevSecOps, right? Things just keep shifting left. What our founders noticed during the first shift left push, right? The dev and the ops folks, mind you, I used to be a DevOps engineer, so I survived through a lot of this, is that there was never a platform that could bring those teams together. They were often going into many different tools. And as you shifted more responsibility into that model, right, bringing security, and now we're hearing ML, DevSecOps, and all of that stuff, those tools start to add up. Those teams start to get more siloed. And very simple problems that you used to be able to solve with one or two products become very tool-sprawly experiences. You're going across many different products. In some cases, you don't know where to go to find certain pieces of information. Now you're spending a lot of time doing a lot of manual correlation and note-taking and ultimately just trying to figure out what's going on and making sure everyone's in the same place. So Datadog comes in, started by offering a very nice observability platform, right? With infrastructure metrics in one place. That was actually how we started originally. We built in a logs management solution and an application performance management solution as well. So the three pillars, the three tenets of observability. And so what we noticed is we were almost sitting on a treasure trove of information, right? There is a lot of information, as Mike said, in that observability context that could take the most benign performance and reliability issue and give you a heads up that maybe there's something a little bit more serious going on, perhaps a security issue of sorts, perhaps someone that's over permission that could be something that turns into an insider threat. So Datadog started to key in on this, and we actually started to notice that a lot of security folks within our customer organizations were starting to use the platform to go and look at observability contexts as they were working through security issues in their other tools. And so we came in and we said, oh, how do we solve for that, right? And so the idea was taking a lot of this observability context and trying to see if we could move that through a security engine, right, that can take our deep integrations with AWS and our other cloud providers, that can take the context that we're collecting from the agent and also leverage that to get context as to what is going on runtime risk-wise or runtime threat-wise in your environment. And also on the application layer, taking a look at what's going on at both the code level and the runtime application layer and seeing if we can transverse that into vulnerability risk, attack risk, compliance risk, misconfigurations. And so we landed with a product that really reduced the barrier of entry for getting very quick application security insights, but very deep insights. And the same pattern for cloud security management or CNAPP offering in our SIEM. And so what we're able to do is we're able to very quickly unlock both performance, reliability, and security value all from one platform. And we're also able to offer a platform that's very unique in the sense that it starts to help with that responsibility that the DevOps folks are starting to get, the software engineering folks are starting to get, to be more proactive on security by giving them those security insights in the same place where they might be also troubleshooting performance and reliability issues. So we're a really unique platform for that. And the idea here is not only do we want to give full stack coverage for our other platforms that we support, so our Windows environments, our Linux host-based environments, your role, your own container environments, but we also want to offer that for Fargate, where, again, as Mike said, it's a different shared security responsibility model, but it still requires visibility. And so at Datadog, we have a full stack security solution for Fargate that really gives you those performance and reliability insights through our observability side of the fence, but also marries that over to giving you vulnerability and misconfiguration info, threat detection info, and also guiding you all the way down to the path of response. And Mike, I'm going to invite you back up to talk a little bit about what you guys found from our full stack offering and how you brought that over into Kirkpatrick Price to start supplementing that visibility that you're needing.
Yeah, thanks. We really found that Datadog provided a suite of tools that really had a synergistic quality for what we were trying to do. When I talked about earlier, we needed to have a small team be able to be as agile as possible. We found that Datadog was the perfect partner for that. So we started off with the Datadog Cloud SIEM. We needed to understand at the cloud layer what was going on, and we used a AWS organizational trail that's ingested by the Cloud SIEM to really tell us and alert us if there's something that is happening at the cloud trail level that's a problem that we need to respond to. We have these alerts coming from the SIEM that go into the appropriate channels, and the appropriate people respond. Then we had to look at the container itself. We had to say, OK, we have a container here. It's running in our clusters. It's serving our application. But how do we make sure that security is being appropriately applied for the container? So we use the Datadog Cloud Security Management tool. And this allows us to really have the insights we need at the container layer to make sure that we have security appropriately applied. And then finally, we have the Datadog Application Performance Monitoring. I talked earlier about marrying security with performance monitoring, and this is really where we're doing it. We're seeing from the Datadog Cloud Security Management, along with the Datadog Application Performance Monitoring, when they marry, and we can kind of see from that pane of glass exactly what's going on from both performance levels and the security level. Now, we had to make this all work. And as with anything, when you say, yep, we want all these cool things, you have to figure out how to architect it. So we really took a look at what we were doing and how we were going to implement this. So not only were we using ECS Fargate, but we were also using these great Datadog tools to help us have that solid compute clusters that we needed. So we have multiple accounts. They're all pushing logs to AWS CloudTrail, and I talked about we use an organizational trail. And then we have Datadog agents. The Datadog agents are running in our services, and they're ingesting all of that log data, and then they're pushing it to Datadog. And then it goes into the solutions that we talked about from Datadog. Now, all the solutions are using alerting. And we have different monitors set up, different rules that are set to trigger, and it pushes into our Slack channel. All of our teams are connected to our Slack channels, and when there's a situation that they need to be responding to, we get the alerts there. And what's really important about that is, as we talked about before, we really wanted to reduce the operational workload for all of our teams. Our CTO said, hey, we need to make sure that people are able to focus, and we were able to be as focused and detailed and as diligent as possible in providing this application to our clients. So we really had to take the tools that we were provided, marry them all together, and then get them to the alerts to the appropriate personnel. So we were able to do that with Datadog because they provided these great abilities from the SIEM to the application performance monitoring to the cloud workload security. So when you take all three of those, plus the AWS Fargate, and you have those layered on top of each other, you kind of have a whole solution that allows a small team to be really agile, really responsive, and to meet the availability and security goals that a company needs. Now, I'm going to pass it over back to Amber, and she's going to talk a little bit about cloud security management.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. One thing I wanted to riff on, too, is you said that there's a lot of tools now under one roof, right? And something that we keep hearing as well is that tool consolidation story, right? Like you want to try and put everything on one platform and get everyone in the same place. That's important from a productivity perspective, but it's also important from a cost perspective. And that's something that's been really top of mind for a lot of the customers that we've been working with, especially the ones with the smaller teams. But yeah, let's jump in. So on my previous slide, I showed that Datadog has quite a number of different point solutions as well as platform solutions that tie into Fargate. Today, we're going to spend a little bit more time looking at cloud security management, which is our CNAPP offering. So basically, it gives you vulnerability visibility, misconfiguration and compliance visibility, as well as runtime threat visibility. So our solution's pretty cool. I'm a little biased
very cool.
Here. I appreciate it. We have a way of deploying the Datadog agent that you can also use, like I said, in your own container environments, your host environments, into Fargate, which operates on a more abstracted model and a more abstracted model. So a lot of our customers that are using Fargate have these task definitions, which they use as templates to basically call out and to denote what they want running in that Fargate task specifically. And that usually is an application. That could also be a number of different types of infrastructure dependencies that run at the container level. And what Datadog's able to do is we're able to respect what is going on in the task definition, but wrap that with the Datadog agent. So what that does is, one is it makes it really easy to instrument our agent without providing risk or introducing new reliability issues to the application that might already be running there. And so that's been pretty unique, right? Because Kirkpatrick Price runs many different Fargate tasks, and the last thing you want to do is introduce something new, and you now have a big performance and reliability issue you need to solve for and figure out where security might have to be a trade-off. So it's a wrapper. A lot of our customers, we have an auto-patching service that can actually take a look at your task definition and automatically figure out how to wrap the Datadog agent there, bring in your API key information and everything you need to get started really, really quickly. How long did it take you to deploy?
Less than a week.
Pretty nice. That's like across everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, so we work with a lot of customers that are pure Fargate environments, tons of Fargate tasks. We have some customers that are running up to 20,000 Fargate tasks, and they're able to get this out really quickly, not just for the security solutions, but also for the observability side of the fence. Oh, actually, going back before I move on, I went super quickly. Once this is deployed, there's a couple things that you get out of it. So Fargate is an abstracted model, but it's still a container environment. So there's a lot of things that are going on both at the container level as well as at the overall task level. So at the container level, we are able to get file integrity monitoring activity. So things like malicious file changes, new directories that may have been created, file deletions, things like that. But we can also get process activity. So if there are things like, new user came in, used privilege escalation to try and make some of these malicious changes or run an anomalous process or a new process, we're able to pick up on that at the container level. But we're also able to see how the containers are interacting with each other, as well as contextualize that with AWS CloudTrail information that we're collecting at the AWS Cloud account level. So we're able to get a lot of the AWS metadata, tie it to what we're collecting for FIM, file integrity monitoring and process activity, and see both in the container but also within the task overall, and also with the ENI and how that's communicating outside of the Fargate task.
All right, so Amber has been talking a lot about tasks and task definitions and what that really means. But what that has allowed our organization to do is to be really agile with the deployments. I said before, we were able to deploy across all of our environments within a week, and that's really because of how this works. We were able to use our CI/CD pipeline, deploy the task definitions, and really allow our tasks to take over and implement the Datadog tooling inside of our clusters really quickly. So you can kind of see how our task definition has been built here. We have a lot going on that serves our application. So we have a WAF agent running out in front. We have an application. Then we have some worker processes. Then we have the Datadog security container. As Amber mentioned, we're going to wrap our processes in the Datadog security container, and that's going to send those signals to the Datadog processing center so we can get the alerts that we need. And then all of that really also pulls into FluentBit, which is doing our log routing. So we do a lot of customization of our logs that are getting sent out, and that's all kind of piled into the task definitions that we deploy. Now, we have multiple task definitions that are running across multiple clusters. And as a small team, being able to have this in the CI/CD pipeline, which with everything being checked into a code repository, means that any changes that we need to do are super fast and super efficient. So when Datadog says, hey, this new service that we want to try out or something is out there, we're able to update the task definition, see how that works for us in a non-production environment, and then deploy it out as necessary. So going back to the key concept, efficiency. That's really what this does. When we take the Datadog tooling and we take ECS Fargate and we bundle this all into a ECS task definition, that provides small teams with that efficiency that they're really looking for. Now, I'm going to hand it over back to Amber, and she's going to talk a little bit about the security benefits that are provided.
Yeah, so there's a number of different things to call out here, and a lot of this translates to other types of environments too. I recognize a lot of folks here might be using Fargate, but they're not entirely Fargate, or on the other side, they might be looking at Fargate and trying to figure out how to transition. I would say that one of the Datadog key benefits is we are able to get you coverage really quickly and really reliably. So one of the most important things that I always tell my customers, and as we started working with Mike, is your security is only as good as your coverage, right? Like if you're not covered as your infrastructure changes or as other teams are doing things, it's really hard to get your security tooling stood up. It's almost like a vanity tool that you might have in place at that point. And so Datadog really cuts to the chase. We're able to consolidate a lot of what we offer on the observability side with the security side. And in a lot of cases, we're on the crown jewels of our customers' environments. So usually that translates to really interesting security activity there. And you definitely want to have Datadog stood up there too. But anyways, so we have that. We also have very tight integration with AWS as well as some of the other cloud providers. And so not only are we able to get you at the top level what's going on in your cloud environment, but you're also able to drill really deep into the container level. So you can go from your cloud control plane very deep into the container level all the way into your application. The other thing that's great is instead of having to go look in multiple places for your application logs, your service logs, your security logs, and any other thing that might be generating a log related to your Fargate environment or your cloud environment, you're able to see everything in one place. And we're able to surface the full JSON log. And a lot of that is also interactive. So you're able to leverage Datadog facets and query language to search through that, and it's pretty powerful. You're able to write rules that can cut across multiple environments, multiple Fargate tasks, and only write one rule, not have to manage a lot of different rules or different deployments there. And the thing to tie here is everything's a single pane of glass. So you're not over leveraging yourself trying to figure out what tools to go to. You have one place to go, whether it's in peacetime or wartime, to get all the context you need from performance and reliability all the way up to security. The last thing, of course, almost feels like a Slack advertisement. You can push your alerts. And it's not just the Slack. Datadog offers an incident management tool. We work with tons of other chat ops and chat providers, your PagerDuties of the world, your Microsoft Teams of the world. Anywhere that your team is communicating, Datadog is able to integrate. So just to tie it up, again, this is zooming out and looking at our security product as a whole. For AWS Fargate, we offer 150 out-of-the-box rules. They're mapped to the MITRE framework. So you can see everything that's tied to MITRE TTPs in that signal detection and that rule. They're continuously updated. We have a large security research team and advocacy team that work for Datadog. Not only are they maintaining our rules, but they're managing our open source tools. We have a security research blog where we disclose some of the threats that we see out in the world and out in our customers' environments. And our customers get the goodness of that automatically in their environment. You don't have to go and do anything. The rules just show up and they stay automatically updated. The awesome thing, too, is I talked a little bit about the Datadog query language. So that same query language you can use for creating custom rules as well. Then we do a lot of great things with our rules. So we have rule correlation. You can correlate your SIEM rules with your cloud security management rules, your application security rules. So you can look at very sophisticated attacks from the lens of the rules that you're able to create and correlate. And the last thing I also want to call out is we also operate in the compliance space. So not only do we have rule-based detections, we can also look at misconfigurations, and we do that continuously. In real time, as misconfigurations are picked up, you're able to see not only the resource and the tags that are tied to that and keep up with a changing environment, but you're also able to have those get auto-remediated. And then, of course, last but not least, I always do like the one more thing. We have also vulnerability detection as well, and that's at the application and the cloud infrastructure level.
I can riff on this for 1 second.
Yeah.
So we didn't plan this, but one of the things I really wanted to bring up was the rule set is super helpful. As an organization, you probably have dealt with implementing many different systems, and having an already predefined rule set that's following industry best practices makes the enablement super simple. And that was really one of the key things. Like I've been saying over and over again that, hey, we needed to be efficient. We needed to make sure that our team could do what it needed to be. And this rule set was really helpful in that case because you can enable, disable rules as you needed to, and it really allows you to see and to prioritize for alerting and things like that, what you want your team to know about, what things are important to you as an organization, because every organization is going to be different. They're going to have different attack surfaces. They're going to have different things they see on a day in, day out basis. They're going to do things in different ways. So with having the predefined rule set and also being able to create custom rules, you're able to tailor your solution to meet your needs as practitioners and as an organization to deliver the security that you need. So that's really like one of the things that really made us fall in love with the Datadog solution, because this was kind of the bedrock of what was going on. And when someone can go in, create the rules at a very rapid pace and use the query language as Amber was talking about, this allows us to basically use a force multiplier for security at our organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of the feedback I hear from folks in the security space is the battle scars you have trying to not only get your security tools set up, but also the content in there. Yeah. And that's tough. That's really tough. The other thing I want to call out too is we talked a lot about cloud security management, but we also have a SIEM, right? And Datadog SIEM's really great because we leverage a lot of those awesome integrations that we've built for our log management offering, our audit logs offering, to be able to get that into the SIEM. So literally anything you could get into the log management tool, you can get surfaced in the SIEM, which means that the barrier to entry for getting a SIEM stood up is very low when you look at the fact that a lot of that information is already in Datadog. There's other great things that we offer here. So we mentioned the rules. We also have hundreds of rules on our SIEM that span, AWS, third-party SaaS offerings, your WAFs of the world, your Jiras of the world, and so on. But we also offer other content, like content packs. So content packs are amazing because we leverage a lot of what's already in Datadog, like our dashboards tooling, our notebooks, our runbooks, to offer really quick, out-of-the-box content that you can just get going. As soon as you turn on that log source, you have a ton of relevant content and rules that allow you to get going. Yeah?
Oh, no, I was just going to talk about that. That's really an amazing part. Like when we talk about SIEMs, we always think of, there's so much information coming in. I don't know what I'm looking at. But really, we already talked about rule sets. We talked about the integration with AWS CloudTrail, and when you kind of marry those solutions together, you suddenly have something that's usable. And I kind of want to stress that for everybody here. When we're talking about what Datadog does, and it does really well, one of the things is speed. The ingestion rate and the speed of processing is amazing. The other thing is surfacing what you really need to understand. And we talked about how you can customize things and there's those out-of-the-box rules, but really what your team will find is that because of the work that Datadog has done on the back end, they're already, when you first set this up, getting the information we need. Oh, hey, somebody's changing an IAM policy when they're not supposed to. Oh, somebody just made an S3 bucket that's open to the world. Bad things happen. So really, having that Datadog SIEM there that's processing those logs from CloudTrail is really a key piece and something that we at Kirkpatrick Price use every day, all day, and on Sunday. Because what it does is it takes the operation from just parsing through tons and tons of logs on a daily basis to really focusing the responsible people on responding to alerts that they need to respond to. So when you kind of marry all those pieces together, your small team is able to do what they need when they need to, and you're able to provide a better security and availability posture.
Yeah, that's great. And I know we double-clicked a lot into the detection aspect of offense, but another thing I want to call out is Datadog doesn't just do detection on the security side or the observability side. We also offer incident management capabilities, workflows, which means that not only are you using one platform to figure out where security risk is in your environment or your organization, but you can also remediate that from that same place. Like I said, context switching is the enemy of a security person, just as it is the enemy of a DevOps person. And I find that to be extremely valuable, especially when you look at how many different tools, how that's siloed across different teams in a traditional environment. Cool. And going into cloud workload security, cloud security management, which is under that umbrella, we surface a lot of the same context and a lot of the same capabilities in our cloud security management offering. So this is an example of a cloud workload security finding. We were able to detect a package that was installed in the container. This is actually your environment.
Yes. Yep.
Not real data.
No, this was me testing and to make some slides for this, but it shows what it can do.
Yeah. So not only are we able to tell you what's going on from the security signal perspective, but if you go down, we can see the full process tree. We surface the full log, the full event, and the different tabs. And then you see that workflows tab. You can go and you can act on that, or you could start an investigation, get your bearings, try and figure out how you want to respond. But like I said, all of that is in one signal, which is really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at this screen, as a person that works in security, it's amazing to see the level of detail here, because how many times have you used a tool where you have to click on one screen, then go to another screen, then go to another screen, then go to another screen to figure out what you want to do? Well, Datadog has taken the time to put it into one place. So when the responsible person gets that alert, they're going to the one place and they're able to see the path, they're able to see what the actual security signal is, and they're able to see what's affected. So when you kind of combine all those things, they're able to respond faster, and things that could potentially be a massive security breach or an outage for some reason can be triaged and remediated at a very rapid pace because they have everything they need. And when you have people that are working the unfortunate on-call, trust me, If they get woken up at 2 a.m., it better be real. They better be able to figure out what's going on as fast as humanly possible because they're probably pretty tired. So having all of that in a single pane of glass and being able to go in and see that and see exactly what's going on with the container, see exactly what services are being affected, seeing exactly what was triggered, means that you as an organization or us as an organization can really respond to and triage and remediate as fast as possible.
Yeah, I don't miss on-call.
No.
You also come from the DevOps
I do,
space,
I do,
right?
I do.
Yeah, and I always say that the worst security incidents always happen before a long weekend too. Like what was Struts was right before Memorial Day. That was awful. Anyways, moving on. The last thing I wanted to show also is a little bit about the observability side of the fence. And Mike was great because I think when you first started using Datadog, you started out with a lot of APM, right?
Yep.
Yeah, logs, all of that fun stuff. So here you can see on the top level that this, first of all, this is our APM tool, but we call out security context there too. In the top right, you can see that we can call out if there's anything suspicious going on the security trace side. And then you can also look at patterns like the rate of requests and errors for that specific service. In other areas of APM, which is great, you can see your attack exposure risk, so vulnerabilities, code implementation-based security risks, and all of that is also available, like for not just going into the security tool, but it's bi-directional. So you're able to see that from the APM side as well.
Yeah, I mean, really when you look at the screen, there's a couple things that really stand out to us and that we use on an everyday basis. We live and die by the P95. That's literally something that somebody spends time on every day, just making sure that we are serving requests at their proper rate. We're looking at errors. So when we have these dashboards that allow us to see what's going on at the service level and really understand what's happening, it allows us to have that assurance on our side that, yes, are we catching the things that we need to catch? Are we responding to the things that we need to respond? Yeah. We can see what's actually deployed. Where is it? What are we seeing that's causing errors? Hey, how are the error rates increasing? What's the slow monitor saying? So we can take all of that and ingest it in, and the person that has to have that responsibility doesn't have to go and figure out from 7,000 places what's going on. They can look at the dashboard, see how the application is responding, see what's going on with the certain clusters, and figure out and remediate as needed. And by presenting this in an easily digestible package, it allows our personnel to really go in and be efficient and really make sure that all of our clients that are using our application are getting the best experience possible. And then when you marry that with the security services that Datadog provides, we now have that complete picture I was talking about before. And like my CTO said, hey, we need to be able to do what we need to do and execute the job that we have to. So, and this kind of tooling allows us to do that. So that's really why APM, along with the security services, is really a great thing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just to wrap up a bit, so Datadog is an observability and a security solution, as well as a remediation solution. I really want to hammer that home. We have tons of content built in. We have an amazing security research team and they map a lot of this to a lot of the best practices out there. And you'll relate to this coming from Kirkpatrick Price. So your MITREs of the world, your SOC 2s, your PCIs, all of those amazing acronyms that we've all grown to love. We have content for that built into the product, and it's continuously updated. We take it a step further. Datadog's a collaboration tool as well. So a lot of our collaboration tools that are built into Datadog leverage your security context and proxy your security context to make it even more powerful. So we have dashboard capabilities, notebook capabilities, incident management capabilities, as well as things like workflows and case management, all built into the product and tied really heavily with our observability context as well. And then, like I said, not only do we detect, not only do we allow you to collaborate, but we also bring it all together by offering really deep remediation guidance to the point where a new A security analyst can go in and has a good idea as to what they need to do. A non-security person who might see something pop up, while they're investigating a performance and reliability incident might be able to go and find something that maybe looked benign before and might be evolving into something a little bit more serious. And with that guidance that we provide, we allow you to act on it, all from the Datadog platform. And we're going to keep building. So serverless is a big thing. We're seeing a lot of adoption from it, from Datadog customers, from the market, from other cloud providers. Today, we have available our Fargate solution. As I showed on the previous slide, it's a full stack solution. So there's about 6 different products that you can use together that get you that deep context that Kirkpatrick Price is getting. We also have protection capabilities built into the product as well. And as we look into the second half of the year, you're going to see us offer multi-cloud support, as well as vulnerability management from that same agent that we talked about earlier. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I'll kind of wrap it up. I want to kind of go over the things that were key for us that we found with the Datadog implementation and the ECS Fargate. One was ease of installation. When you're using a CI/CD pipeline and you're using infrastructure as code, it becomes a breeze. And it really goes into your process workflows, and everything kind of works in a homogeneous manner. And then the next piece is multiple layers of visibility for AWS Fargate. And this is really key because a lot of times people will say, we don't need to really do anything about it. We don't need to really monitor anything. But you really do, from a compliance standpoint, to really understand what's going on with your application and the containers. AWS has done a great job of abstracting away the node management, but you still are responsible based on the responsibility matrix for your applications, your containers, networking, things like that. So having the tools to be able to see that and to understand from a security perspective what's going on is going to help all the small teams. And then I want to really hone in on this last point. The tools we've talked about amplifies a team's ability to confidently respond to application performance and security incidents. I want to highlight a word there, confidence. As we all know, if you don't have confidence in your toolings, you don't have anything. We've all probably had to deploy some kind of solution that didn't work or didn't work as expected, and we wasted a lot of time, and you still have problems. But really, when we're talking about AWS ECS Fargate and the Datadog security implementations and application performance monitoring in SIEM, you really have tools that your team can have confidence in. And when teams have confidence, they're more efficient. They're able to do their tasks and their jobs and provide the end users with the security and availability that they really require. So no matter what, when you're building these solutions, having the partners like Datadog that help you reach that confidence level is a critical piece for all your teams.
Thanks, Mike. Yep, double click on that for sure. Yeah, I want to thank everyone today for taking the time to learn more about Kirkpatrick Price's amazing partnership story with Datadog. You can find us on LinkedIn. We'll also be walking around the conference, and we're always happy to talk about security, Fargate, how awesome the Celtics are. But thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thanks.